So I manage 70 brokers. One of the things that I have been able to use my VAs to do is not only to scout and recruit other brokers, I also use my VAs to follow up with leads, manage my schedule, my managing broker schedule, utilize them to fill in the gaps when I'm at an appointment, emails that come in that are imperative. I always like to make sure that they're on top of everything, making it look as though I'm everywhere and can do everything, even though, of course, no one person can do that. That's why we hire VAs. I have staff in the office that talk with my recruiting VAs to go through, okay, this is the person that you need to contact, managing what's going on before they speak to me. Because the recruits, right, different brokers that we're trying to bring into the brokerage have conversations. So by the time they talk to me, I'm not just having to really tell them all about the company. They already have a pretty good idea because they've sent out emails that were crafted and also followed up, scheduled the appointment, confirmed the appointment. So they've already had multiple touches from Nexus before they ever speak with me. The VA does all the recruiting calls. The first round of calls, that's all done by the VA. My VAs that are doing lead follow-up and that type of thing have access to my calendar as well as my VA that's doing scouting, so they can schedule things, but I'm not being overlapped. None of that is going on, which is, of course, extremely helpful. And then we schedule the follow-up. Either the VA is doing the follow-up with them to touch base again. They do social media marketing. We do every week, we do meetings, we do trainings every other week. So they schedule the trainings. They do all of, the information about the trainings. I have a VA, I did a presentation this morning in my B&I group, and it's an 8-minute presentation. And I'm like, these slides don't look very pretty. Here, make this look good. And I sent it off to him, got it back this morning, did the presentation, and everyone was like, oh, wow, do you have a graphic designer? I'm like, no, I have a virtual assistant. I think there was 37 business owners on the B&I group today. So you're showing them firsthand, this is something that is viable. It doesn't look as though it was done by someone who doesn't know what they're doing. It looks very professional. And I always find any type of service, if you can show someone how it's working rather than just trying to sell them on it or tell them about it, you can real life show them. That always makes a big difference. I have one that does just leads and calls for sale by owners, canceled and expireds, past leads, does the follow-up with my buyers, sends out the buyer's pack, that whole world. They're scouting listings, they're looking for sellers. Then I have my recruiting VA for recruiting brokers.
So you're giving me some ideas here, because now I'm thinking, one of my friends, Mike Bernier, run an independent brokerage out of Minnesota. They have, I think, they're about to hit 500 agents. They've grown it over the last 4 years, which is crazy. But one of their integral pieces is this, what you're saying. They have VAs setting up appointments for them where they're calling up agents from all around the area to bring them in and be part of this brokerage, right? They've trained their VAs to be able to script and dialogue correctly so that they know what they're saying. And I think that has a lot to do with it. So what does the training look like for you when it comes to that?
So we do role playing. One of the things that I think is huge is going ahead and taping my calls so they can hear a little bit about what I'm saying to the brokers and what the difference is. Okay. I think it's important to sound the same. You don't want to have one person hard sales and one person, just, hey, how's it going, guys? You really want to be have a company persona, for lack of a better term, but so that you're using scripts, you're saying the same thing so they don't hear one thing from a VA, because in the beginning, right, they'd hear one thing. And I always wanted to make sure, okay, I don't want them to, even if they don't say it that way, people will hear things differently. So if I know exactly what they're allowed to say, what they're not allowed to say, and I've made that very clear and we've gone through the structure, it makes it a much cleaner way to talk to someone. So if they say, oh, I heard it was $149 a month and that's the only fee, I'm like, oh, no, you'll remember you heard a transaction fee, and remind them and say, that $299. So once they start hearing those numbers, they go, oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, okay, sorry, I'd forgotten about that. So for me, it's just making sure that I know, okay, this is what you're going over when you're talking to them. This is what I am backing up and reiterating to people so that they hear the same thing, because that's one of the things. You don't ever want someone to feel like it's a bait and switch,
Yeah.
or that they're hearing one thing from one person and something else from another. I always want to make sure that it's the same information and that the people understand exactly what's going on.
So in essence, you're also empowering them by telling them exactly what to say, and they feel comfortable knowing that they're saying what you're saying, the same similar process and concept of the company that you're trying to sell.
They've communicated some way with Nexus.
Okay.
That's where the lists come from.
Okay.
So whether it be online, they've somehow given us their information. So that's where it comes from.
When you're calling sellers, so in this case, you're in real estate, you're calling sellers to try to see if they're interested in selling. Where are you getting that list?
Farms. Through the title companies, you can pay for farms that have phone numbers and email addresses. Mm-hmm. It's, not the cheapest thing in the world, but it's great because I send out all types of information through the CRM. Well, when I say I actually mean my VA. Okay. I completely take credit for everything that he does. So I'm like, oh, I do that. It's not really true. But, just communicating here's the events that are going on in your area. Because I set up, I can sort my CRM by areas and send out information, events. I mean, just the standard things that you're always going to talk to past clients about. Even if they're not past clients, we just kind of create them into past clients and make sure that we're updating them, giving them market updates, but also information like what do you need to do to your house in the winter? Different homeowner things that gets people going, oh, okay, they're providing me information. This is good. They don't want to unsubscribe. It can't always be about house sales. That's what we do is just, provide them with information and keep following up so we can try and get the listing.
What CRM are you using right now for your virtual assistants to make sure that they keep everything in one place?
I have 2 different systems for each of them. Asana is what we use for scouting, because that way we can keep track of all the notes and communicate really well through that. Okay. We're using KB Core right now. Okay. For the leads.
She's empowering her staff, whether it's here or abroad, with the right tech. She's empowering with the right dialogue. She's empowering them with the right processes. This way, they don't have to figure it out for themselves. I think that's probably the biggest challenge that I see when people hire in-house staff or abroad. Besides what I said, what other ways are you using to empower those virtual assistants and your in-house staff?
So one of the things that I always have done is concentrate on the positive. When they do something great, I am like their biggest cheerleader. And I'm always like, I always say, thank you, please. I do things that make them feel that I'm not dictating to them. We're a team, because without each member of the team, you're not going to accomplish nearly as much. I always make sure that I empower them by saying, hey, you guys, great job on this. When something doesn't go exactly as planned, it's not like coming down, screaming, yelling. It's, hey, what can we do different? Where did this kind of get off track? And just really going through almost like it's been great on like Facebook Messenger or Zoom or any of those. Get the VA and the staff here together all on one call or text or whatever it is, depending on the media we're using, and just look at, okay, where can we fix this? Where can we make adjustments? I love to use the analogy. I hate cooking, just so we're very, very clear on this. The only thing I cook is marinara sauce from scratch. I don't just, throw it out or just go, oh, this person's just not doing what they're doing. No, just, it's just adding the things in that are missing from making that the perfect transaction, marinara sauce, whatever it is. It's just adding things in. Everything can be fixed through communication. If somebody has a bad call or they get yelled at by someone, just, hey, no problem. On to the next.
How do you communicate with them and how often? Because I think that has a lot to do with empowering them too, because from having staff and virtual assistants for now more than, 14 years, it's very, very clear to me that the more we communicate with, it empowers them. How do you do it? How do you communicate?
So I always do a start of day communication to kind of say, okay, this is what's going on today, so that everybody knows. If I'm going to be on a call doing different things and I'm not able to be reached during certain periods of time, they know that. They have access to my calendar and they're well aware, okay, this time is blocked off. Also, making sure that throughout the day as things come up, you're sending emails, texts, whatever way that you need to communicate with them, you're doing. That's a big thing. I can't always be on a call with someone because a lot of times, I'm running a sales meeting via Zoom. So I can't just hold on, guys, I got to take a call. You can't do that. So you have to be able to text, Facebook message, WhatsApp, any of the ways to communicate. You want to have everything open. There was a horrible storm that happened just a little while ago. So it was, hey, you know what? I have probably 7 ways to communicate with my VAs there. And they still were able to talk to me throughout the entire process. The other thing is I travel a lot and I go out of the country. So one of the key things for me is making sure that if for some reason I lose cell service, that I do have Wi-Fi access to whatever communication that I need to be able to communicate with people. Because even when I'm traveling, I've done sales meetings from the beach of the Dominican Republic. I have to be able to have access. Wherever I am, I have to be available.
Empowering those people that you work with isn't just about giving them the right technology and the right processes, but it's also how you communicate with them. I think Lori mentioned saying thank you, being aware of what their reality is, where they're from. It doesn't matter what country they're from or what city, because everybody's working virtually here, mostly in the United States. So I think that's truly important, just being more aware of that and realizing that, look, I don't care where you're at. We're equal, right? And I think we sometimes forget that part because we're not seeing each other, or maybe we see each other through Zoom, or I'm just texting you. I almost feel like you're not really real. Like I can treat you like a piece of tech, which I think it's doesn't get talked enough about. So
I always like to remember you catch more flies with sugar and honey than you do with vinegar. And the more you're kind, the more it's like everyone around you, it spreads.
So good. Great. That's a great comment, Lori. Thank you. I love that.
I just had a great conversation with Pavel about creating content to scale your business.
Click the link, check it out.
Click the link below.
Again, I highly endorse Virtudesk. If you're going to save time, money, and resources, click the link down below.
Click on the link down below.
How to make your brand stand out in the real estate industry.